Hello, this is Impact. I'm Nuala McGovern. A deal to resume exports of Ukrainian grain through Black Sea ports is due to be signed later, but Kyiv has yet to confirm the details. A US congressional committee hears that Donald Trump ignored pleas to stop last year's attack on Congress while he watched live violence on TV. Tinder's first female chief executive tells the BBC about her plans to make the platform safer for women. And comic book comeback. Thousands descend on San Diego for one of the biggest events in the pop culture calendar. That's all coming up on Impact. Welcome to the programme. Well, we start with our top story, which is about a deal which would see the resumption of the export of Ukrainian grain by sea. It's due to be signed in the next few hours. The UN has warned that countries around the world face starvation unless Ukrainian wheat, corn and fertiliser can reach them. Now, one place that has been seriously affected by Russia's unrelenting blockade of the Black Sea is Lebanon. The Middle Eastern nation was dependent on Ukraine for over 80% of its grain imports. Let us now talk to Dr. Jihad El-Hokayyem, who is an economist from the American University and based in Beirut. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming. I just outlined some of the figures there, but perhaps you could put it in the very day-to-day terms of life of how this grain blockade has affected Lebanese people.
Thank you for hosting me. Unfortunately, we're seeing Lebanese people humiliated before bakeries, waiting in line to get one bread bundle. And actually, the official price is 13,000 Lebanese pound, but actually it is sold for double and 3 times the price in the black market, because you have scarcity, you have really scarce, this resource is very scarce. Bread is not available everywhere on a daily basis. Lebanese people who are suffering because actually their purchasing power is no longer here. The Lebanese pound lost more than 94% of its value, and the vast majority of Lebanese, they earn their salaries in Lebanese pound. What we noticed recently that on average, Lebanon between 2012 and 2019, we used to consume around 583,000 tons of wheat on an annual basis. But in 2021, we've seen that there is 30% increase in the consumption of wheat. And this is to the fact that it goes back to the fact that Lebanese people now are poorer. So in order to satiate their hunger, they're going to eat more and more bread. And on the other hand, because we know that this subsidized commodity is smuggled, and traders and mills are taking advantage of the situation. So since it is subsidized, the subsidy is normally, they don't go to the right people who need and who are in dire need of bread. And it is to be noted that in general, wheat consumption per capita in the Arab world is double the world average. Because it's a cultural thing. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, no, I'm hearing what you're saying, Dr. Jihad, but just about how important and really a staple that it is. But we are seeing even talk of this deal, that prices are beginning to fall. I know there's a lot of challenges with this particular deal, but do you feel hopeful that in fact there might be some respite for the people of Lebanon?
There is hope, because actually we know that commodity prices decreased. And the CRB index related to commodities, it is at its lowest price year to date. However, when it comes to food prices and the numbers of the FAO, food prices are still 30% on average higher than it used to be the case a year ago. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to wheat, it's around 48% higher than it used to be a year ago. For Lebanon, we know that the World Bank is going to grant us a certain loan up to $150 million. So I guess that this loan is going to be allocated in order to buy wheat and to have access to bread, it might be enough for not more than 5 months, as per me, because the wheat, as I told you, is smuggled, is stockpiled as well by certain people who are abusing and taking advantage of subsidies. Hope that the whole world will benefit from this deal, and that the food crisis will be less and less, especially on emerging markets and on countries who have their food security and energy security at risk, like Lebanon, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for giving us that window into Lebanon, Dr. Jihad El Hokeam, who's an economist from the American University in Beirut. Now, let us turn to the United States. The former president, Donald Trump, watched last year's Capitol riot on TV.